you guys, Tomboy601, and today we have a treat. We have a special early look at the all-new Tier 8 cruiser that's classified as a destroyer, the Elbing. Guys, it's 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 gross and nasty and has an incredibly high skill ceiling, but when you can get it to purr, oh boy, does it purr. Now, before we get into the review where we talk about the Commander, the modules, we show off a game, we talk about its consumables, let's first get the blood and guts out of the way, shall we? One, Wargaming did loan me the ship as part of their community contributor program. So, I have no vested interest in selling you this ship, but just to let you know as to why I have early access on this ship, because this ship will not be going up for sale for traditional means. It will be first auctioned off in the second ever auction, and then at some point it has been furtherly undetermined, it will be available for GXP. Now, what is it going to sell for in the auction? I have a feeling it's going to fetch a mighty high price. I don't know what your situation is, but and I don't know how many of them are going to actually be available, but I will say boat is strong, and if you're wanting it, good luck. I don't think I'll be bidding much for it just because it is coming for GXP. I got a wedding to pay for, so I've already spent my monthly allotment on this game that I normally would or ever would. So, you know, it's time to move on and let some other people enjoy this ship. So with all that said, let's first dive on into the Commander. Now, the Commander we are running is going to be Blue Furaroa. I know we literally just had a video where I was like, I don't know why you'd ever want blue. Apparently this is why you would want blue, the Elbing. So some things about the Elbing. One, it is slow. It feels lethargic, and you want her base trait just because you want a little bit more speed. So Blue's base trait is going to boost the base speed. Then we are running William Sims and Sa Zanbing. Sa Zanbing boosts the ricochet angles, the minimum ricochet angles of your AP shells. You already have improved AP shells with this boat, so that plus Sa means you get some really good pen angles, and then Sims because more HP is always more better. The other skills we're running Mosquito Bites, which is Blue's unique skill, and it does make playing this boat a ton of fun because the torps are very much zoning, so being able to throw them out and have really good low detectability on them, they can be quite spicy. Then we are running Look at Me Now, Perceptive, Smoke on the Water, and Unstoppable. As far as the mod slots go, this is also an interesting one. I feel like you're going to see a lot of different builds for this boat. So first, we have in the first mod slot, we have Aiming System Mod 1. I think that's kind of self-explanatory, though I could see people running Main Battery Mod 2 just because the turrets do traverse relatively slowly. Then I'm running Prop Mod just because of how slow this boat feels. I feel like you want the ability to get going and stop with this boat just because it feels better than the 20% reduction in rudder shift. Then we are running Concealment Mod, though I could see people running steering gear with it. And then finally, we are running Main Battery Mod 3. And though I could also see people going for Gunfire Control System Mod 2 just to get that little bit extra range because you want to play this boat at range. As far as the consumables go, surprisingly light on consumables, and I feel like this is the balancing factor in this ship. They didn't want to give it too much. You'll notice the lack of one very distinct consumable for a German destroyer. First off, we have the damage control party, bog standard one, 5-second duration, 40-second reload. Cool. Then we have 2 charges of smoke. It's gonna go for 20.8 seconds. It's gonna stay around for 100.9 seconds. It's going to reload in 240 seconds, and you get 2 charges of it. And then we have defensive AA. You know, doubles your AA output for 40 seconds, and it's going to reload in 150 seconds. So there's that. Yeah, we don't have sonar, guys. We don't have an engine boost. This ship is very powerful, and I think the way that they've balanced it is to kneecap it in its consumables. So those are the consumables, those are the mod slots. That's Commander. Let's go ahead and dive on into the stats. So Elbing, 34,100 hit points with an armor thickness between 13 and 100 millimeters. Let's go ahead and take a look at that armor view. And guys, for once, it is worth looking at the armor on a destroyer. I know, it's rare. So up front, you're looking at 19 millimeters of plating. And then in the middle, you'll notice, well, we got 25 millimeters of plating there, guys. When you come up against some destroyers, you're able to shatter their stuff, and it's absolutely beautiful. Because, like, remember, 25 millimeters of plating, that's battleship armor that's like battleship bow armor at tier 6 on a tier 8 destroyer. This boat is tough. And also, you don't have a citadel. It's not like there's a citadel to protect. It's just some vital ship parts right there. I do feel like you get your engine knocked a bunch in this ship, but I think the trade-off is well worth it. Moving on from that, let's go into torpedo reduction. You're looking at 0 torpedo reduction. Next, on to the big threat. Those 3 two-barreled 150 millimeter guns. Yeah, you're close to cruiser level with 150s. Firing range 10.8 kilometers with a reload time of 6.6 seconds, giving you a shells per minute of 56. 180 on those guns, 20.7 seconds. HE damage, you're going to only be doing 1,700, which is, 95,200. Not very impressive. I don't recommend using the HE on anything other than, like, Japanese destroyers, because they get overpenned with your AP, and at least that you get better damage. Anyways, AP is where this thing shines. 4,100 damage from those shells, giving you a DPM of 229,600. Not the highest for the tier, but the penetration they pack and the punch they pack mean this stuff is absolutely deadly. There are no secondaries for the ship, so let's move on to the torpedoes. Kind of the side focus, especially with our build, but they still can be incredibly useful. 2 5-barreled 533 millimeter torpedoes with a reload time of only 63 seconds thanks to our build. Damage being reduced down to 9,920. You're looking at 16,000, I think, if you aren't running blue, which are very respectable. Detectability on them, 1 kilometer with a torp speed of only 50 knots. So they are slowpokes, but they do have a range of 13.5 kilometers. So these are very much zoning torps. And what's nice is when you have the reload down to 63 seconds, you are able to get in there and just pump them out and really do some damage when you need to. AA for the ship, a whopping 6 kilometer range, starting off at only 35 damage per second, but once it gets into 3 kilometers, you're looking at 227 damage per second. Max speed of the vessel, 38.5 knots. That's with us running a speed flag as well, because this boat needs a speed flag. You just feel so lethargic. I know it's quicker than other boats, but the other boats have the speed boost. This doesn't have the speed boost, and you just feel so slow in this ship. It feels pondering. Turning radius on the vessel, 890 meters. That's also part of the thing. And rudder shift time of 6.3 seconds. Also a massive amount of time to turn that rudder. Concealment of the vessel, 5.6 kilometers by sea, 3.1 by air, which is nice because by the time a plane spots you, you're doing that max damage. And detectability when firing in smoke is 3 kilometers. And those are the stats of the Elbing. Let's next dive on in to a match in it. Okay, so here we are on Shatter, and well, guys, the Elbing's wonderful. It's a really good boat, and as much as I want to bid on it, I probably will not be. Also, do apologize as I went AFK because I needed to answer some work things while at the start of this match. So we just sailed in a straight line and nearly run into a navigational obstacle. But once we regain our composure, well, we're just going to go wide. It's kind of what the Elbing is. It's a boat that needs to be played like a weird hybrid between a destroyer and a cruiser, because that's what it is. It's an incredibly tanky destroyer where you just want to fire AP out of it at all times, but you just happen to not have a citadel, have a relatively low HP pool, don't have any heals, and do have smokes. So really, it's an interesting boat to play. Anyways, we're gonna open up. and use the wonderful zoning torps. Well, we're going to fire first our salvo here. Then we're going to let off a set of our zoning torps. The torps are incredibly slow. If you like the black torpedoes, you're going to enjoy the Elbing torpedoes. That's kind of the way how I think of them, and I think maybe that's why I've enjoyed this boat, because I've been enjoying the black a lot more, and I think these are the torps are very similar on the two boats. Now, these are definitely more stealthy and less powerful, but you'll see once we get into it the power that they can still deliver, because they are still relatively powerful. And speaking of powerful, let's talk about the guns, because, well, we got a 3K salvo on the Bismarck, and he wasn't, like, he was a little broadside. He wasn't totally broadside, and we can see Bismarck popped up again. Kagero is out there, and we're going to start and open up with our AP. You'll see what we do here, where we just get kind of straight overpens on that Kagero. We still do a decent chunk of damage, because 4,100, 10% of 4,100 is still pretty decent, but with the Japanese destroyers, it tends to be best just to go ahead and use the HE. Our opening torps, well, they hit the second Bismarck, and our torps that we laid going out around the channel, well, we get 3 hits with 3 floods. Bismarck taking a beating already, and, well, we already have torps ready to go again. We're going to go ahead, save them back up, wait for our team to kind of catch up with us here, and we'll go ahead and set off a set of zoning torps. And see, that's the wonderful power of just having torps every 60 seconds, is you can kind of offset them, so you always have them every 30 seconds, and it makes them incredibly powerful. But at this point, we're kind of in a stalemate. We're waiting for our team to start to be able to engage, and we just want to try to avoid the torpedoes that we know Kagero will be sending our way. Bismarck finally pops up again. He is fully occupied with our teammates, so we go ahead, break cover from the smoke. He takes a couple of big hits here. We got some more torps coming his way, and we're going to start engaging him with the guns. And as you can see, just huge chunks from the superstructure. And that's what Elbing does, is it just chunks ships in the superstructure, especially the battleships. It also will happily pen cruisers. I think you probably saw in the opening where we citadeled a Minotaur relatively easily. And if you can get to the broadside of most cruisers, you're going to be citadeling them. Also, you end up breaking a lot of cruiser guns in this game, in the Elbing as well, which is interesting. Anyways, we've gone ahead. One of the Bismarcks is dealt with. The other Bismarck is running for his life, and we're going to go ahead and start engaging this Kagero. We're still running the AP. At this point, it really doesn't matter, because one more salvo, and he is going to be taken care of. Excellent. We've gone ahead and taken care of the Kagero. Now comes the painful part about the Elbing. The speed. Or at least the perceptive of lack of speed, because really when you look at its stats, it doesn't feel too bad. But I think because of the lack of the engine boost, you feel very slow in this ship. We're basically now making a break for their cap, because there's no reason to try to chase down this Bismarck. We want to go ahead and influence this match a little bit more, so we are going to go ahead and push our way into the cap to try to force some engagements over there, apply pressure to them, and maybe get in range, because Elbing, she has decent range, but you're always going to want more, just because you do tend to get focused in this boat. I don't know if that's just new boat syndrome, where people are not used to seeing this boat, so you get shot at way more than usual. But this boat is one you will want to target, because I feel like, for once, destroyer-wise, this boat can be equally a threat to destroyers as cruisers are to it. If this thing gets on the broadside of a cruiser, it is absolutely end games for them. Similarly, battleships, this thing will farm the superstructure so happily, and it will take anywhere between 3 to, I think my best salvo today was like 6 or 7 out of a battleship superstructure every 6 seconds, which is a massive amount of damage. Now, a couple of things I have noticed, and I don't know if this is a glitch, but I do see a lot more damage saturation with this boat, and I think that may just be a byproduct of the amount of damage being pumped out by it. But there are multiple times I am seeing, getting getting pens, and then not getting any damage associated with it. And I think that's just because the superstructure that you're able to pen and hit is just fully saturated, and you can't get any more health out of it. Anyways, Bismarck finally back in range after our long journey across the map. So we'll start engaging him here, and we'll see. We get, four hits for 2,600 damage. Absolutely beautiful. And we'll just continue to farm damage from his superstructure. We have the torpedoes on target. We're about to make our way into the cap. My hope here was that there's that enemy cruiser off on the other side of the cap, on the other side of that island. I wanted to lure him closer to us. I wanted to get him to try to push around the island, because I was hoping he'd be like, oh, enemy destroyer, I can take that out. Sadly, this plot to get the rune to come around not going to occur. Bismarck hitting us with a couple of secondaries here and there. Elbing stands up pretty well against most secondaries. It will get absolutely melted by Italian SAP though. Earlier today I had a Vittorio Veneto push in, and we basically traded in the amount of time it took for me to get proxy spotted in smoke and to let off my torpedo tubes, and for them to hit him was the same amount of time it took him to nearly melt me down to zero, or to actually melt me down to zero. So SAP extremely powerful on this against the Elbing. So that is one thing to take a look at. And well, we come out, we were hoping Rune would be broadside to us. We end up being broadside to him. We do knock his turret out there, and that's I've done that to a couple of cruisers today. Knocked an Alaska turret, knocked Rune turrets. This thing, if it has the AP just to punch on through, and it's absolutely the best. We stick with the AP here. We're trying to just get into the superstructure. Rune doesn't have much health left. Just a little bit more. Can we finish him off? Oh, torpedoes coming in. We hit full reverse. Those are his torps most likely. And come on. Can we finish? There we go. Beautiful. And we have our engine knocked. Like I said earlier, Elbing's engine does tend to get knocked quite often. You'll want to have that repair party handy. We are also currently spotted, which tells us enemy destroyer is about, most likely the Sumner, because that's the only destroyer left. We do take a good hit from the enemy battleship there, and that is one of the things I feel like you get full, like, battleships. Feel free to shoot AP at Elbing. It may be more effective just because I feel like when you get those plunging shots, you get full pen damage on those plunging shots, and they can absolutely take the life out of the ship, especially when you think about the fact you don't have a heal, right? You every single hit point is so valuable in Elbing because it's keeping you alive and giving you the ability to continue to just knock people. So Massachusetts pushing in. We go ahead and dump both sets of our torps. Once again, the nice thing about our torps is they are relatively quick reloading. So we have this one set of torps here that are going out. By the time that Massachusetts gets to a point where he might try to push us more, we'll have another set ready to go and waiting. We're getting some decent pens here, and it's not even worth it for us to flip over to HE and try to get the fires. Now, he is within range, or he's getting in range of his other Massachusetts that's behind him. That could be will to rebuilding him, but we have the team here kind of concentrating, and, well, we do also have a little bit of a time limit, because if we look up north, we do have one boat. We have the enemy in our cap, and mentally I'm like, oh, we have a boat up there. He's going to be able to handle it. We don't need to disengage from this fight and try to sprint back to their side, because honestly, I don't know if we could make it back in the amount of time. Given that we have a boat in the area, I'm like, cool, he's definitely going to handle it. Let us finish what's going on here. Frederick Gross pops up. Massachusetts on his last legs. We're going to go ahead, get the kill, secure him, and now FDR is pushing in. Of course, FDR does have relatively long-range sonar, so he is going to be able to see our torps come in. He gets a beautiful hit off on us, and we just need to survive. Thankfully, we do have the backup of our ships right here. FDR takes a hit, and we are FGR, sorry, Frank de Gross. But that's going to give us the Kraken. Sumner pops up, trying to finish off. He finishes us off, and we let go one shot to pick up the 6-pack and the double strike. And, well, that's the match. Sadly, our battleship up north decided to, I don't know, Austin Powers' turn. I don't know what he did. He just didn't want to engage the enemy anymore. And we end up losing the game, but we end up walking out with the 6-pack and the Kraken. So I think overall, we had a pretty decent game all in all. So guys, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.